Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Homemade archery target out of rubber mats. You can buy these in 2 foot by 2 foot squares. You can even buy them 1 foot by 1 foot too. They have different sizes. Of course, I want bigger because I want to be able to paste a target on there, or maybe even paint a target on, which would save a lot on paper, and I could leave it outdoors all the time. We'll figure that out in the end. However, you're going to have these strips that are on these things, and usually that goes around like your wall edges and stuff, because these interlock, and we're not going to cut all the interlocks off. I thought about that, and it's like, man, this is too much extra work. Let's just throw the interlock part of the back side of the target that we're never going to shoot at anyways. And as far as the sides go, we're not shooting right along the edge, so hey, let's get our big area. So toss those away because you're not going to need them. What you do need though is a box cutter knife, preferably a good one, because these got really strong blades and it's not going to accidentally break if you push too hard, because it may take you a couple slices to get a full perfect slice. Red or black Sharpie, take your pick. I'm using the this style of tip, so it's the fat felty tip. It's not the precision pen tip. We don't need to be that precise, but we do have to be close enough to get these things even. So get rid of your interlock edgings. So you've got this, okay? Start at the bottom, and you're going to go across here to the next one. Now the next one technically goes into a crater, but because it's another interlock female, because you got male and female. So I'm just going to go across here, and I'm going to find the 24-inch mark. And I see that I got a 12-inch middle right here, so I'm going to mark it here. Then you're going to do the same thing with the top side. You're going to go up here, you're going to do the same thing. Find 12 inches, put a little dot to represent that, and if you really want to get a little bit picky, you could even do it from here as well, 12 inch. Then take your ruler, put it in spot, line up the dots, and away you go. Now once you've made one master out of this, which I've already done, you can just use your master, okay? So you only have to do that once. Then every time you want to use your master, try and flip it around so that the interlocks line up as best as possible, because some of these may have a slightly different shape if you have mixed kits like I do. So I'm going to the best I can with having these things all line up. And I know this edge, I got some differences, but that's okay. It's not a make it or break it here. It doesn't have to be super high precision. And then we're going to take our marker and we're going to just draw a straight line down, which also tells me that when I did my measurements for you guys on this one, I was a little out here, a little out there, and I was almost spot on there. So you got to try and get it as straight as you possibly can. But my first measurement cycle went perfect, so this is my main master sheet, which is going to become part of the target in the end. So once I got my line done, I'm going to line up my ruler right so I can see the red edge, and I'm going to come right up close to the red edge, right about there, and here I'm going to make sure I'm right on that edge, and then I'm going to hold it about, not quite midpoint, but close, and then I'm just going to run my razor knife about that far down, and then again, and I can hear it cutting into the wood. I'm going to move my hand down to keep pressure. And keep the blade straight up and down too, by the way, because if you go cross angle, you're going to cut an angle into this. And you'd like to try and avoid that. So there's another one. And there's another one. And we're going to grab another one here, which, wow, this has got some duct tape to take off. We'll do that one later. So we're going to grab our next one, get rid of this stuff, don't need it, that's waste after. And we're going to do the same thing, we're going to get our master, line it up to the other locks as best and evenly as we can. That looks good. Nope. I want to try and make sure these are as flush as possible too, so they're evenly, because some of them will have slightly longer if they're a different version. That looks pretty good there, except I want to try and shift that just a little bit that way. Again, a little bit of farting around, but once you get her on there, stroke your line, get your ruler, line it up where you need it. So I've got about 18 or 19 of these things all together. So I'm really hoping I have more than enough, because I don't want to have to go out and buy any more. Because I want either the width to be right that it can stand up tall, or the opposite, I want it to have lay down. So it's either going to be this style of a target or this style, whichever one gives me the best width for the target papers that I may want to throw on there. And then I'll be good to go. Okay? And that's all we do. We just keep running through our pile here until we're all done, and that's going to take me a while. And then from there, I'm going to decide, okay, how am I going to stack these? How am I going to strap them together initially so I can get them nice and even, and then get the compression on, and how am I going to compress them together, because you don't want to have them compressed loose. They're not going to last long, and your arrows are going to pass through a lot easier, because we're only going basically 12 inches deep here, right? So we want to be able to try and compress them tight so that we can take up almost half of the thickness, or maybe just under half that thickness, and that'll be compressed nice and tight. So we'll be able to shoot broadheads into these things more than likely. No guarantees. We'll have to try that. But definitely field points are definitely a win-win no matter what. So anyways, I'm going to take the time and go spend a pile of time doing up the rest of these things. And when I'm ready for the next stage, I will definitely get back to you guys with what's going to happen next with this pile of mats, and see where we go from there. But so far, so good. And this is a good project on a rainy day like today. The weather absolutely sucks today, and it's supposed to suck again tomorrow till at least 10 a.m. before the rain is supposed to stop, if the weather's predicted properly, which who knows, but we'll see. This may still take me a few days to finish off, but you guys are going to see the whole video transition in one shot. Even if it takes me a week, for you it's going to be whatever the length of this video is. So we'll see you on the next stage. Told you it'd be instant. Anyways, this is the result of 20 and a half of the 2x2s. That's gonna be more than adequate. So we've got 2 feet across, and as far as our height goes, currently we're at 17 inches. Now, I'm not sure if I can get a full inch of squish compression. Probably not, but I will be able to compress it more than enough to tighten this thing up that it's definitely going to be stopping arrows. Now, if you guys recall, I bought one of these tough block targets that's basically about almost 11 inches thick, and it's, you know, it's 2 feet by 2 feet, big face, but it's only 11 inches thick. And well, even with that alleged compressed styrofoam, it really it didn't stand a chance, especially against my 54-pound compound, but even rated for 40 pounds at a 40-pound bow, it's still kind of borderline, and you're going to just blow that thing apart in no time. So maybe 10, 15-pound bows, 20-pound bows, a lot more longevity out of a single one for 50 bucks. Now, this is a lot more than a $50 investment, but it's also going to last about 200 times longer, or at least about 500 times more shot count. We'll see what happens in the long haul. But now I got to figure out my next stage, and that is framing this thing and compressing it. So this is still going to be instant for you, but maybe a couple of days for me. I got to go through my wood pile of stuff in here, see what I've got, because I also got to compress it, which I do have what I need to compress things. I just got to figure out how I'm going to do all this, because I want to frame it in kind of like a box idea. So I want to actually have a piece of plywood on the back. Not that I'm kind of worried about arrows passing through. I'm not. I just want stronger stability either way. But we'll figure it out, and you're going to see how this thing goes the same way I'm going to see how it goes in the end. And you'll know exactly what processes I went through all together to get my finished product in the end. But I still got to even all this up, which means no matter what, I need to get my surface that this sits on completely flat. And right now I got a wow in there, so I got to stiffen up my surface here, and I got to basically give her the old shaky down and get things to sit all even. Make sure everything's good, and then somehow keep that together well enough that nothing shifts. I'll get a nice flat face like this in the end, and we'll just continue on. So again, instant for you. Well guys, other than a touch up I have to do right up in here once we're done this video, which I'll get done, don't worry. I say she's done. I don't have enough materials to frame in like I wanted to, but this will work. Really good straps, and reefed it back with every bit of strength I got, so they're pretty tightly compressed. We're going to have to test this, you know, as soon as it stops raining. Before the weekend for sure. We are going to put this thing to the test and see how well it does against, well, we'll probably start with my compound, my main hunting bow, because that's like 54 pounds of mayhem, so we'll see how it goes and how easy it is going to be to get the arrows out too, because that's the more interesting part. Because this is not under the amount of compression I wanted to, which would have been really super tight. This is pretty damn tight, so we'll see how we're doing. So I painted the whole face area black, and then of course, as you can see, I've got blue for the outer ring, black in the middle, and all I got is the 2 colors of spray paint. So I'm working with what I got, which is also zero money right now. Found a couple pieces of scrap wood for the top and the bottom so I could strap and compress everything nice and tight. Yeah, the straps are actually from Dollarama, and these are actually pretty good because you just keep pulling and they keep getting tight, and you can pop them off real fast too. No chance of seizure. So if I wanted to change out a mat, if I had spares, I could do that. Or change out a few mats, whatever, okay? It's pretty home brewed, we'll say. It's a homebrew target. Even wrecked my nice AC/DC shirt because I leaned over and it's like, ah! Anyways, so much for that. Another work shirt. What do you do? Got a little bit of overhang out the back here with the wood. I'm not going to bother trimming it because I want it to be good for stability in the backside, at least for when the impact hits. Not that I'm that worried anyway. She's pretty rock solid, but a little bit of extra. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me. All my fronts is pretty even. I laid them all down, got them all sitting nice and vertical, shoved the sides in, shoved all the things down as flush as they can go. And, you know, I could still put a regular target on this. I could also stand this thing upright if I want to, which we'll try different shooting positions with this when we test it out. However, let me know what you think so far. Then you can give me your real full opinion, and I'll give you mine too on my home brew here once we start shooting at it with some bows. So anyhow, in the meantime, I have to fix up this black spot here, and how I did that and all these little rings is I cut a butter container and I used this for doing the outer blue. So this thing here with the inner, it had the inner blue for this way down, so this way is going to be the black, so I just got to put that right back on top like that. And while we're in here, we might as well fix it up. And but you know, for a project of having no money and just having this stuff laying around, this is going to work out really good. So, and now we just, boom, and now that should dry nice and solid. The other ones are okay. I wish I had like a smaller ring for the centers, for to go really super center wise, but I figure this is pretty darn good, and it's definitely going to do the job, at least for my needs, and it gives me a target for, well, no cost now, and I got to use these things a lot inside the house when I needed them, but they're not required, so might as well make use of them for doing something like this. So anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of my homemade target so far, and we're going to have another video, probably call it testing my homemade rubber mat target or something to that effect. We'll see how this thing stands up against 54 pounds. Maybe I'll bring out a lighter bow too, just to see what the penetration difference is going to be as well. Because that I think would be a good test. But there you have it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.